he was a real Christian who really did love Jesus? I mean, St. Nicholas loved Jesus. How did St. Nicholas become known in history as the greatest gift giver?
I think he points us back to Christ, and it points us back to the biblical example of generosity and justice. When he was born, Christianity was an illegal minority faith, persecuted faith. When he died, Christianity was not only legalized, but was the preferred faith.
And that's just fabulous. I wonder how he's thinking in heaven right now as he's looking at how his life has been turned into not just this book, but Santa Claus by Coca-Cola and all of these things.
We've been too long in the sun. Not one of us is immune. We've all been deceived. Throughout the ages, pagan sun worship has been the apostate form of religion, which opposes the true worship and service in obedience to our Creator Yahuwah. Satan, the dragon, knowing that sin is the transgression of the Torah and that the wages of sin is death, he, as the adversary, the enemy of our soul, by the way of various cunningly devised aspects of the sun worship, attempts to persuade us, attempts to deceive us, to beguile us, to cause us to miss the mark, and to break the first 4 commandments, which teach us how to love our Creator, Yahuwah. Our history and culture is Hebrew, not Roman. Our forefathers are Enoch, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, and the prophets. The house of Yahuwah was in Jerusalem.
And they worshipped the sun toward the east.
The house of Yahuwah was in Jerusalem with the Zadok high priest, and it was never in Rome with the Pontiff Maximus. Our Bible canon and calendar were found in Qumran. Our calendar and Tanakh canon were found in Qumran, not in Rome. Brothers and sisters, Satan has set up his own mark. And that mark is for us to miss the mark of Yahuwah. And that mark that he set up, he made us believe that was the mark of Yahuwah for us to reach. And the whole time he's been working on his game plan according to Isaiah 14, that he would exalt his throne above the stars of Elohim, and that he would be like the Most High.
And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Molech, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination, to cause Judah to sin.
Also, thou son of man, the children of thy people still are talking against thee by the walls and in the doors of the houses. And they come unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after their covetousness. For they hear thy words, but they do them not.
In the northern hemisphere during late December, the days are at their shortest lengths, and the nights are at their longest. For those of the pagan world, this has always been the greatest time of the year to celebrate and practice the works of darkness. The pagan calendar identifies this period as the winter solstice. Witchcraft traditions hold that a number of pagan gods were given birth during this period, including Dionysus, Attis, and Baal, chief male god of fertility and licentiousness. Mithra was said to have been born specifically on December 25th. Mithra was the god of the unconquerable sun, the god of the light between heaven and earth, worshipped at that time by an influential Roman cult. His birth symbolized an end to the long nights and a return to the dominance of the sun. Homosexuality, cross-dressing, and uncontrolled debauchery reigned supreme. By 270 AD, the Roman Emperor Aurelian had made it official, setting aside a 7-day period from December the 17th through the 24th, culminating in an exchange of gifts on December the 25th to celebrate the birth of the sun god. This Roman orgy to end all orgies later became known as Saturnalia. By the 4th century, the influential government-sanctioned Church of Rome chose instead to adopt them into their so-called official Christianity. Up until this time, the birthday of Jesus Christ had not been celebrated at all. Ignoring scriptures, however, indicating that the birth probably did not occur during the winter, the Church nevertheless confused biblical history and made Jesus' birthday coincide with the pagan god Mithra. The birth date of the sun god had now become the birth date of the Son of God. The Church's practice of changing the dates of Christian events to coincide with pagan festivals continued, and by the 7th century, Pope Gregory I had ordered Augustine of Canterbury to incorporate any and all pagan practices and customs into the expanding Roman Catholic Church. During the Middle Ages, the debased Mardi Gras atmosphere of what was now known as Christ's Mass had reached a fevered pitch. Common practices included open sex in the streets, rioting, murder, and a number of pagan druidic Halloween rituals. Today's tradition of the Christmas Yule log stems directly from the worship of the pre-Christian Scandinavian fertility god Yule. The burning of this phallic idol is also responsible for the concept of the 12 days of Christmas, which represented the 12 daily sacrifices offered up in the Yule log's flames.
Tonight we're going to be studying when is the true birthday or birth date, month, or season of Messiah. We all have been studying this, and we think we're pretty close, if not completely got it dead on. And right now, this season, there's a lot of confusion about his birthday, and, you know, is it this holiday that's coming up that the entire world celebrates? You know, all kinds of religions celebrate, but we want to try to clear the air and get some of the confusion off the table. So I want to actually share first this really cool video that I found.
At 5 BC, this record appeared in the astronomy records of the Book of the Han Dynasty. And translated into English, it reads, in the second month of the second year of Yanping, the comet was out of Altair. Altair is a star. This comet came out of a star, and it lasted for more than 70 days. And it is said comets appear to signify the old being replaced by the new. Altair, the sun, the moon, and the 5 stars are in movement to signify the beginning of a new epoch, the beginning of a new year, a new month and a new day. This is dated 9th of March, 5 BC. That's Altair. It's in the constellation of Aquila. It's the brightest star in the constellation of Aquila. And the Chinese astronomers are saying on the 9th of March, 5 BC, this comet seemingly appeared out of this star, and it lasted for more than 70 days. The appearance of this comet undoubtedly symbolizes change, they said. The extended appearance of the comet for more than 70 days indicates that this is of great importance, and there's the reference on the screen. The Bible says the wise men who came to visit Jesus Christ, who was to be born in Bethlehem, they said, we've seen his star in the east, and we've come to worship him. The wise men thought it was a star. The Chinese astronomers, who knew nothing about this, thought it was a comet. To them, it looked like a comet. To the wise men, it looked like a star. This record is dated 31 AD, and it's in the history of the latter Han dynasty, and there's the reference. And it says, summer, 4th month of the year, on the day of Renwu, the imperial edict reads, yin and yang have mistakenly switched, and the sun and the moon were eclipsed. The signs of all, the sins of all the people are now on one man. Pardon is proclaimed to all under heaven. They knew nothing about Jesus, and this is dated 31 AD. They knew nothing about Jesus Christ, but in their soul, in their spirit, they felt that this sudden eclipse of the sun, unexpectedly, meant that the sins of people were pardoned and had been placed on one man. That's amazing, isn't it? And then it goes on to say the eclipse on the day of Gui Hai, man from heaven died. How did the Chinese people know this? There in China, Jesus Christ was being crucified in Jerusalem. They knew nothing about it. But in their records, when they saw this eclipse, these imperial astronomers wrote, man from heaven has died. Then 3 days later, there was a halo around the sun, 360-degree rainbow halo. 3 days later, during the reign of Emperor Guangwu on the day of Bin Ying of the 4th month of Yanwu, a halo, a rainbow, encircled the sun. 3 days later. So, folks, here is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. They didn't know what they were writing. They were simply recording what they saw, not knowing what it meant. And so here, folks, to start off this amazing message tonight, we have 3 evidences where the Chinese astronomers, unknowing to them, pinpointed the year of Christ's birth, the year of his death, and 3 days later, his resurrection. And I hope if you're watching, I have now got your attention.
So I thought that was really cool. And if the Chinese astronomers can do it, so can we, right? That's what we're going to attempt. Are we seeing the whiteboard?
Yes.
So shalom, everyone. We're on the 22nd day of the 9th month, year 1 of the priestly courses. Yakim is the priestly course. So tonight, we're going to try to find out when was Messiah born. And the scriptures that we have, the best ones that pinpoint this date are in Luke 1 and 2. So it says, there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abijah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. So right off the bat, we have something to pinpoint. We have the course of Abijah. Now, we know that there's 24 courses, and there's 6 years. So if you multiply the 52 weeks in a year, 52 weeks times 6 gets you 52.
312?
Yeah, get you 312. And then you divide that by the courses. So there's 13 times where Abijah could have appeared within the 6 years, right?
Yes, each family serves 13 weeks out of the 6-year course.
Okay.
But not at the same time.
Math is not my strong suit, as you can tell. But patterns are, and pattern recognition. So there's only 13 places where we could tie in Abijah and try to find out this date. And so if we read more of Luke, we see, and it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before Elohim in the order of his course, and there appeared to him the angel of Yahuwah standing on the right side of the altar of the incense. But the angel said to him, fear not, Zechariah, for your prayer is heard, and your wife Elizabeth shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name John. And I like what Eddie teaches, he's like, when was the last time an angel appeared to you and told you to name your kid? So this right here is really important. And so we see further in Luke, and behold, even your relative Elizabeth has also conceived a son. So this is the angel talking to Mary in her old age, and she who was called barren is now in her 6th month. So now we have another date. We have the course of Abia. Now we can plus 6 months to when Mary was given the message. And then you can add 9 months to that for the gestation period to get Messiah born.
I think that's like Shavuot, isn't it?
We're going to figure that out. That's why we're here.
Now in the course, the 6-year course, the time that Abiyah serves at Passover is in the 3rd year.
Yep. I saw that one too. That one's a very close match.
Yes. In the 2nd year, he serves on the 2nd Passover.
In the 2nd year?
Yes.
Of the courses?
Yes.
Okay. So we have Abia. He meets up with, let me just scroll down here. So what we have to do is we have to find a course of Abia. We have to add 6 months to it, start the 9-month count for Messiah's birth, and it can't be in winter because when she gave birth, the shepherds were staying out in the fields and keeping watch over their flock. And they don't do that in winter.
Brother Stephen.
You know, it's funny what he mentioned about Messiah's birth. I've done a lot of studying on it.
Yeah.
And, I was working in the sheep business for a little while around the country.
Yeah.
So I got to understand sheep, the shepherds of the sheep. And when I read the Gospels, it has a different meaning because, when there's only certain times a year that the shepherds would be out in the field like that. They're not out all year round like that.
Right.
So it's either an early fall or around Passover, Pesach. Those are the seasons that the shepherds in Israel would have been in those fields at that time.
So we can rule out winter. And if we apply this formula, course of Abia, add 6 months, start 9-month count for Messiah's birth, we can start to eliminate certain courses. Now, Gina has an article. So here on Gina's website, Luke 1:15. So we're not going to read that. Here's where we'll start reading. In the 4th month, in a year 6 of the priestly cycle, is the first course of Abia. Each priest served 2 times each year. Abia entered service on the 4th day of the 4th month on the Zadokite priestly calendar in a year 6, on a Sabbath. He left service on the 11th day of the 4th month. The conception of John the Baptist likely occurred from the 12th to the 15th in the 4th month. Elizabeth's 6th month of pregnancy would equal up to the 15th day of the 10th month, a day after the conception of Yahushua. Mary's 40 weeks and the birth of Yahushua was most likely on the 15th day of the 7th month, which is the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, and circumcised on the last great day called the 8th day, 22nd day of the 7th month. Gina, what say you? Is this still true? Are we holding true to this?
I do, because I did a lot of historical look up from Luke 3:1 after watching John tell me that John the Baptist baptized the Messiah in 27 AD. So then I looked up when was the 15th year of Caesar, right?
Okay.
And that was, like he said, the 27th Common Era. So then there's other factors about when Harold died that I factored in. And the only thing is I had the Messiah's birth in 06 because that's what most of the historians say. And they go by Josephus that says there was a eclipse in the year in that year of 4 BC. Well, Herod could not have died in the same year that the Messiah was born, so Harold had to die in a different year. So Josephus also wrote a bunch of other timeline of Herod, and his timeline from the rest of Josephus records puts Harold dying in 1 BC. So, you know, he killed all the babies from 2 years and younger. So 06 was like way far off. And besides, for the Messiah to have been baptized at 30 years old in 27 AD, he had to have been born in 4 BCE, which would have put him that the same, you know, a few years before the Herod died. You know, that would have gave enough time for Herod to have searched out for the babies, and then he died after that. Which there was another recording in Josephus of a eclipse, but it was a full eclipse in 1 CE instead of a partial one. That one in 4 BCE was just a partial one, like during the night when most people didn't even see, and that's why most historians get the data wrong and they don't search out the rest of the timeline. I found that out. So with all of that being said, if in 27 AD was the 15th year of Caesar and John and the Messiah were 30 years old, then they had to be born in 4 BCE, as for Luke 3:1.
Yeah, that's good. And I also found let's see.
I guess my question is, in Luke 1, verse 26, it says that he went to visit her, Mary, in the 6th month. So wouldn't her gestation start in the 6th month?
It was the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, not the 6th month of the year. If you check other scriptures out and other concordances, you'll find out that it's not the 6th month of the year, it's the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, because later on it tells you, you know, they're 6 months apart.
Yeah, I've also read it the same way that Sherry has. And so that's where I started looking. So I was like, oh, well, that's perfect. We have a 6 month. We have the reference right there. But things didn't match up. So I went back and I'm like, oh, well, Luke 1:24, it gives you, and after these days, his wife Elizabeth conceived and hid herself 5 months, saying, thus hath Yahuwah dealt with me in the days wherein he looked on me to take away my reproach among men. And in the 6th month, so it's kind of like a continuation of this verse up here.
Okay. But if his dad was serving at Passover, that would make the 1st month. And then if she hid herself 5 months, that would be the 6th month of the year. On the Zadok calendar, I don't know anything about what a Chinese calendar looks like, but on the Zadok calendar, am I wrong?
There's 3 possible courses of Abiyah. You have one in the 6th year, the 4th month, like I wrote in the paper. And then you have one in the 10th month in the 5th year. And then you have one in the 9th month of the 6th year. And the only one that fits with the historical records of Caesar in the 15th year of his reign would be the Abiyah serving in the 4th month of the 6th year. The other ones won't fit. Then if you take the 9th month in the 6th year, then you have the Messiah, John the Baptist being born in the 8th month, and the Messiah being born in the 5th month of the 2nd year. And if you take the 10th month in the 5th year, then you have John the Baptist born at Tabernacles and Messiah in the 6th year, and the Messiah born in Passover the 1st year. And I'm under the belief that they were born in the same year, just 6 months apart, like it says, because why would they say John started his ministry and baptized the Messiah 6 months later? Wouldn't they both have started at 30 years old, like Messiah said?
Could I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. This is a fully interactive. You can ask any questions you want.
Okay, 5 BC, when was the course of Abijah? Because I tend to think that it was the 6th month that Gabriel came to Mary. I know you can look at it different ways. It could be the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, but it doesn't really say that. It just says in the 6th month. And if it's the 6th month, 9 months later would be the 3rd month. And we know that in the 3rd month is Shavuot, in the middle of the month. And that is when Isaac was born. Isaac was born on Shavuot.
The first covenant child.
And he is symbolic of the Messiah. So I'm not dogmatic about this, but I was just wondering if you've ever thought of that.
I agree with you, Constance, but I mean, I don't know all that Gina knows, but it seems to me like if she held herself, if she was conceived in the 1st month, and then you counted 6 months, then that would be her 6th month.
Right.
But it would also be the 6th month of the calendar year.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here, unless there's something I'm not seeing. But so my question is, the year before, in 5 BC, I'm just wondering if Zechariah served in the 1st month then. Can anybody look that up?
Yeah, he did. Well, I don't know 5 BC, but I do know that he served in the 2nd year.
So that would be a year 6. 5 BC on that timeline would be a year 6. And that would be putting him, Abiyah, in the 9th month, the 21st and the 22nd day of the 9th month is when he would be serving.
Okay, so I'm just throwing this out there. If he serves on the 3rd year on Passover in the 1st month, and she hides herself 5 months, and then we have the 6th month, wouldn't that be, maybe I don't know all about the BC years and all that kind of thing, but that would mean that he would be born around 9.5 months later, the 10th month maybe, the 1st of winter. Yeshua would be conceived in the 6th month. Then you add 9 months to that, and you do have Shavuot.
Well, I agree. So far, this is great discussion, by the way. I do agree that it was Elizabeth's 6 month pregnancy and not the calendar month. And also, we know that when Miriam and Elizabeth met, and when the baby leaped in her womb, Elizabeth, of course, was filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. But let's look at Luke 156. It says, and Mary remained with her about 3 months and returned to her home. So that gives us another time. And then in Luke 2 verse 1, it says, in those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. So has anybody done any research on that?
Yes. I found that they say it was either 4 or 5 BC.
Okay.
Which matches up to the priestly courses that we've
right.
Let me go back to that.
Yeah, we got to keep this 15th year.
It matches up to this right here.
Yeah,
okay.
See, and then 27
yes.
AD would have been the 15th year of Caesar's reign.
Okay.
So if you try to put it in a different year, then that won't match up with Luke 3:1.
It also
or with Herod's death, the death of the historical records of the death of Herod.
I also think that something really important that we've recognized is things happening on the first priestly course cycle. So I don't believe Yahushua would have been born, at the 3rd year or the 6th. I think it's Yah's ways are ordered, structured, and he's either going to be born on tabernacles like you've proposed, and I've looked at it and it matches really well. Or
yes,
Shavuot works also, but you have to not put the year in correctly. The priestly courses, you have to shift it backwards or forwards to where Messiah isn't being born on a Gamul cycle.
Yeah.
But it does work. Shavuot works, but it doesn't allow Messiah to be born on a Gamul year, which I
agree, brother.
It messes up the historical records. Like I found out with John, I was very blessed to listen to John and his timeline because I had him born in 06, and that does not line up. 04 does, and I've got a lot of papers I've printed out on the historical records from Josephus and stuff that proves that the people say in 06 is not. They didn't take into account all the records. They just went off of one little record. And I could read that to you if you wanted me.
Go ahead, sister. Yes.
Okay. So Josephus says Herod became king of Judea 27 years after Galilee was captured by Pompey in 63 BCE. That would indicate that Herod became king of Judea in 36 BCE. Josephus says Herod died 34 years after becoming king of Judea. That places his death in 2 BC. If Josephus started counting Herod's reign from first regional year rather than his accession year, that would place his death a year later in 1 BC, which we are then told there is a complete eclipse in that year at that time. And that's what Josephus records, if there was an eclipse, prior to his death. So there's a lot more. I got paper after paper. I'm not a history person, but I come to learn to be one after John showed me I had the 06 wrong. I've been looking up all kinds of history.
So are we coming into an agreement so far that Messiah was born on the Feast of Tabernacles, and 6 months prior on the 14th of the first month, John was born? Is that where we're coming to?
Well, that's what I believe. I don't know. I think we're still working on it, right, Sherry?
I I just, I basically, I've got to take y'all's word for it because I don't know all about the 5 Qs and stuff like that. I just know that based on what I understand, Luke 1, she was pregnant. She hid herself 5 months. And then the 6th month, that's whenever they came to see Mary. And then 9 months later is Shavuot. And I know there's other people that believe this. I'm not the only one, but that the covenant child forever was born then. But I don't have any way to prove that. That just makes it easier for me to understand it. But I have to go by what y'all are saying because I haven't studied as hard as y'all have.
Well, there's some pretty interesting facts of them being born under what priest and the name meanings. If you want to know that. Right?
Yes.
So John was born the first year of the priestly course of Gamal at Passover under the priest of Maziah, meaning Yah has gathered and rescued us. That puts Messiah born in the first priestly course of Gamal 6 months after John under the priest Jedediah, meaning Yah does see and know. So I thought that was really interesting because then in 27 AD, when he starts his ministry at 30, in a year 1, under Jedediah, the same meaning, Yah does see and know, Jedediah. So I thought that was pretty neat when he was baptized, is starts his ministry under the same priest. And then Messiah, when he announces the year of release at atonement, was under the priest of Yeshua, meaning Yah saves. And then the sabbatical year, when he died, it was under Yakim, meaning Yah will raise up that week.
Yeah, and so back to his birth, I went ahead and looked up the musician and the commander because they're also part of this. And so it can say, so you have Yediah is the priestly course, the musician is Gedaliah, and the commander is Helez. And if you read these names, it says, Yah does see and know, Jehovah is great, he has saved. That's if you're putting Yahusha being born at Tabernacles. And you could actually probably move the commander in between the musician, and it would be Yah does see and know, he has saved, Jehovah is great.
Also, I found another one. So at first fruits, it was under Yeshua, meaning from the throne, the seat of the Father. So, he went to the Father and came back. And we have first fruits of barley on the 26th.
Wow. And that's, is that a year? What year is that? 4 or 2?
No, that's a year 1.
It's in year 1?
Yes, after he died.
Yeah. So it's really awesome when you put these musicians and the commander in there. One thing I didn't ever, it didn't click with me, but the musicians, it says they're for prophesying in the temple. Their music is for prophecy. Go to, I think it's.
Yes, I would like to have, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. That's a year 4.
Okay.
It's not a year 1. It's a year 4. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to read 1 Chronicles 25:1. It says, Moreover, David and the captains of the host separated to the service of the sons of Asaph and of Hemam and of Jeduthun, who should prophesy with harps and psalteries and with cymbals and the number of the workmen according to their service. So they're prophesying with these harps and these musical instruments. And so you said that was a year 4, right, Gina?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that was Shechaniah in 30. Year 4. 26 is under Yeshua.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
I would like to have the list of those musician name meetings, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, just go to
Is it in the
1 Chronicles 25. We'll give you the musicians.
Okay.
And then 27 gives you the guards or the commanders of the army. There's 12 of them. There's
and then
20.
you just looked up the meanings yourself?
Yep. Just in the Blue Letter Bible.
Oh, okay.
So they would serve for a whole month instead of
A guard or a commander.
rotating?
Yeah, a commander was a whole month. Musicians, I believe the musicians were 24, just like the priestly courses.
Beloved family, what I would love to present to you right now is that the author of the calendar that we keep from the Dead Sea Scrolls, that is based off Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, is that this calendar is perfect, just as our Father in heaven is perfect. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to show you that Messiah was born on the 15th day of the 7th month in the fall. Now, I need you to take a note that the 15th day of the 7th month is day 197. In 2025, it occurred on Wednesday, October 1st. That was the first day of Sukkot. Now we're going to tie in Emmanuel and the date Messiah Yahushua was born. Emmanuel means Allah is with us. And when you break out the Hebrew letters attached to Emmanuel, you come up with the number 197 for Emmanuel, which coincides with the 197th day of the 15th day of the 7th month. Now, beloved brothers and sisters, like I had mentioned, the Father Yahuwah and his Son Yahushua are the architects of this calendar. It is perfect. In Genesis 1:4, it tells us that Elohim created the lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day and the night. And he said, let them be for signs, for oath, and for appointed seasons, the feast, the Moedim, and for days and for years. In these two verses, Isaiah and in Luke, we see the word sign, and it refers back to Genesis 1:14. In Isaiah 7:14, it tells us, therefore, Yahuwah himself will give you a sign, an oath. This has to do with a feast. Look, the Alma, the unmarried virgin, conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Messiah had to be born on a feast. And if Messiah and John are 6 months apart, John also must be born on a feast too. Father does not do anything outside of the feast, the Moedim, the signs, the oaths. Now, in Luke 2:12, the Malach, the messenger, the angel of Yahuwah said to them are the shepherds out in the field. The messenger said, this will be the sign, the oath to you. Remember, oath stands for Moed, feast. But it is a very important time to you, and he's referring to the shepherds of the tribe of Levi that were in the field taking care of the sheep, because baby Yahushua was wrapped in waddling clothes that were leftover clothes from the priesthood of the Levites. Now in Luke chapter 1, 36 and 37, the messenger Gabriel came. Gabriel is talking to Miriam, and this will tie everything together. And he says, now behold, Elizabeth, your kinswoman, has also conceived a son, John. And he's telling her that Elizabeth had conceived a son in her old age. And he says, this time right now is the 6th month for her who was called barren. For with Elohim nothing shall be impossible. Here is the key. Elizabeth was conceived exactly 6 months earlier before Mary conceived Messiah. Both had to be born on a feast. The preparer of the way and the messenger of the covenant had to be born on feast days, 6 months apart. Let us review. In Genesis 1 verse 14, Yahuwah, our Father, declares to us that He will have signs for the appointed seasons. These are the feast. These are the Moedim. These are the oaths. In Isaiah, the prophet, he tells us that our Father Himself would give us a sign concerning the birth of the Son of Man, Emmanuel. This sign, this word, is the same word found in Genesis 1:14, oath, H226. In the New Covenant writings in Luke, Gabriel, sent by Yahuwah Himself, said to the shepherds who were tending the flocks of the sheep, "Today the Savior is born to you. Now this is the sign for you." So, beloved brothers, there's a sign here that is associated with Isaiah 7 verse 14. And this, brothers and sisters, are these shepherds who are tending to the flock. These shepherds were young Levites. Now, beloved brothers, this sign ties into Isaiah 7 verse 14 and Genesis chapter 1 verse 14 concerning the oath, concerning H226. Now, beloved brothers, this is the paleo symbol for an oath. H226, signs. This word oath means signs, signal, a distinguishing mark, banner, remembrance that has to do with the covenant, a miraculous sign, a warning of life and death, token, an ensign, a standard, a miracle, a proof. This is a distinguishing mark that the Son of Man would be crucified to strengthen the existing covenant made to Israel, and in Him as the head covering to those who have answered the call to come out of Mystery Babylon, that they would become tabernacles of truth, the ecclesia. By this we know that the Messiah had to be born in an appointed time that Israel was commanded to observe and remember as a miraculous sign occurred. And this is what distinguishes those from the rest of the world, the rest of the believers who do not observe His Sabbaths nor His appointed feast days. These are the signs that were only given to those of Israel and Messiah. So this is huge for us as believers today. This 197, this is my case for the 197th day from the first day of the year to the 197th day, which lands on the 7th month on the 15th day on the first day of Tabernacles, which is Sukkot. And it always lands on this day. It does not fluctuate. It's firm. It is decreed. So, beloved brothers, Gabriel told the shepherds that they would find a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes lying in a manger. And that manger is a booth, a sukkah. Number one, Messiah was born as the King of Kings and a priest. The swaddling clothes are the leftover from the priest that they wore to do service in the temples, because he was both son of Zadok out of Aaron and King of Kings out of the tribe of Judah. Number two, the manger points to a booth for Sukkot. You see, beloved brothers, there was no more rooms to rent because of the great feast of Sukkot that had come, that all of Israel from around the world was commanded to attend. Now, the manger was a very primitive sukkah where he was born. There was no room in Jerusalem during Sukkot, so someone offered up their sukkah so that he could be born. And that was by the way of the Father to decree it in this way, and that we can see for what it really is. So, beloved brothers, Messiah was born in around September, before winter, in the fall, and not the winter as we've been taught growing up. So, beloved brothers, I pray you can examine and take this further.
So Luke 2:7 says, "And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him in clothes and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn." I saw somebody post that the reason why there was no room for her at the inn is because it was a feast. There was hundreds of thousands of people, so all the rooms were booked. So it gives you another clue that this was during a feast. And they also proposed that he was in a manger. They proposed, could that have been he was in a little sukkah, like a temporary dwelling? Because it was a feast of Sukkot, and maybe somebody had built one of these temporary sukkahs.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
well,
do believe that.
So they don't do that at Passover or Shavuot, do they?
Make
And
sukkahs?
there's no census that's taken at that time in history, is there?
that's what he went back home for, was to be counted in the census.
Yeah,
He
that's
had
what
to
I'm
go
saying.
back to Jerusalem.
They did that in the fall, in the late summer, early fall. Is what I've found out in history. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I didn't find any evidence that they would have done it at Shavuot or at Passover.
A census?
Right.
I haven't dug that deep. I didn't find any I searched for what month they would have done it, but I got nothing. I didn't get anything that said month. It just said Rome was very strategic, and they would take a census often, but I didn't get if there was a month tied to it.
Really? I did in the archaeology review paper,
Okay.
and they said it would be the late August or sometime in September.
Okay. There's another arrow on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I just did some quick searching, to validate that. I mean, and you guys can do your own research, but yeah, it would just kind of agree that shepherds in the field, just from an ancient agricultural perspective, in the winter months, they put them up early autumn, and they would keep them in pens or shelters or caves of some sort during those winter months. And then the Romans doing a census, especially when they're making people travel. And I think it mentions Josephus suggests that census occurred after harvest, before winter, likely late summer or early autumn, because again, they got to do it in mild seasons so people can travel. So all of those are, because that's the whole thing, right? About kind of trying to exegete even the whole study here, is because you have to keep things sort of in context and common sense with the way that the world works and the seasons work. So yeah, I'm like you. More evidence points toward it being the end of September during that cycle for in alignment with Sukkot, with tabernacles.
Wouldn't that also make sense? Like if you were a Roman governor and your duty was to collect taxes, and you knew the Jewish calendar or the scriptural calendar, hey, all these men, they come up to Jerusalem 3 times a year. So we're going to do a census during these feasts.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it anyway.
Yeah, it just seems like common sense.
And that's when they would have their money because all the crops would be in.
Right.
Oh yeah, and if they're trying to extort a whole nation too, they know that a lot of them traveling far have sold animals and are bringing straight up bringing silver, gold, coins to celebrate that feast. And what better time to collect those taxes?
Yep. They can't hide. They have a less opportunity to hide that money.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're there for 7 days. Yet 1 Kings 8 is about Solomon's benediction whenever he on the first temple. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, I was trying to place it in time. Like what year BC was that?
Oh.
And I'm pretty sure this is it. The 964. And it would make sense that it would be on a Gamul. It's either here or it's at 971 at the beginning of a Jubilee. That's what I believe. But if you look up historically and you ask the right questions and go down the right trails, they'll tell you it's between 965 and 964. And so I looked, I'm like, okay, well, it's a Shabbat, it's a sabbatical, and it's Gamul. So I just picked a Gamul.
Yeah.
That's interesting because to me, if I may add, is that because when Solomon was like here in 1 Kings 8 on Gamul, the King of Kings was born on that same priestly cycle, Gamul. So I think it's very, Father does everything in patterns.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gamul means reward, right? Rewards. So that would be a really good
reward. He's our reward. He's our inheritance.
Weaned are rewarded.
Yeah, it means reward of firstborn, first fruits.
So what does Gamul mean?
The reward of the firstborn, the first fruits.
Okay. That's interesting.
Also, did John the Baptist, let me see, conception of John likely occurred the 12th in the 4th month. So the 15th in the 4th month. So that was the priestly course of Yeshua. We don't need to explain that one. And so it's Yeshua, gift of Yahuwah, Elohim made. And that's what the course is, and the musician and commander say about John the Baptist's birth or conception.
So that's a good one I didn't put on there. So yes, so John was conceived under Yeshua. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you line everything up too, I mean, I think it really just boils down to two possibilities, really, because you've either got his service in the month of Sivan or his service in the month of Kislev. And I think that's what Gina's alluding to. And if you do it in the month of Kislev, that puts Messiah's birth like randomly in the middle, possibly the middle of January, early February, as we think of the Gregorian calendar, which would be the month of Shabbat in the winter, which doesn't coincide with anything. But if the service is in the month of Sivan, that lines up with being, August, September for Messiah's birth, which is much closer, if not dead on, for Tabernacles, right? I mean, the end of September, possibly. So I think it narrows it down, really, because, I mean, it's just, the courses really point the way in that. But like you said, calculating the musicians and the commander divisions, give some more validity to that, for doing the calculations, which probably needs to be looked into further but really, I mean, would there be any indication, I would wonder, in any historical writings, or extra biblical texts or early writings that might indicate, a February, late January birth? Because that certainly doesn't line up with the end of December. Unless they shift it back, it makes me wonder about, any early church father writings or something that might have data about that. But I would be skeptical to that as well, because of the blending of different feast days, or pagan feast days, with what they call Christmas today, right?
So what months did they keep the shepherds out in the field with the flocks? It wouldn't have been December,
would not have been
February.
winter. Yeah, it would not have been winter.
It would not have been there. So you can cross that.
Yeah, I've talked to people, and then even on Shabbat in Brother John's gathering, he's got a brother named Stephen who he tends, or used to tend to sheep, and he was very adamant. Luke, when Messiah was born and the shepherds were out in the field, they would not have been in winter. You don't have your sheep out there in winter.
Right. Spring or summer. Cool.
This is why I like this calendar. Reckoning, because looking at it deeper, and getting all of these other elements of Scripture to line up just gives so much validation, and it's not arbitrary with when barley ripens and other nonsensical things. This is very measurable, which, Yah is not the author of confusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not going to allow his calendar to be blocked out by the clouds, or a foggy night. Oh, we don't know what month it is now, or the lack of rain, and the little flowers didn't pop up. So nope, we don't know what year it is.
Yeah. No. And it's interesting to study too, considering even just when the year begins itself, at the height of the expansion of all the tribes of Israel and their territories, if you're in the farthest reaches of the territories, I mean, you can look that up and do the math. It may take people as much as 20, possibly, 30 days to travel to Jerusalem. So this all had to be very preemptively calculable.
Mm-hmm.
Not just waiting to see because then they would never make it in time.
Right.
It's just too far, traveling by foot or by donkey, or with a cart, or who knows what else.
Very good point.
Yes, that's a great point, Brother Jay. I agree with you there, because there was Yahudim, Jews from all over that were dispersed, just like they came in Acts 2. They were from everywhere, and so it did take time. And like we were saying, we need to consider that they didn't have cars, and the weather and the terrain that they had. It was harsh.
Well, this is good. You guys have did great work.
Thank you. But I'm glad we all agree that December 25th is not Messiah's birthday.
Not Christmas, right?
Yeah, it's being pushed by people. It's crazy. Even people who are Torah and teachers teaching confusion. And I think there's a lot of clarity of this situation, this date, that can be found just by knowing the calendar. Study the calendar. If you're not into the calendar, you shouldn't be talking about dates and when Messiah was born, and don't teach confusion. It's been crazy this year.
Yeah, it's like an English teacher trying to teach math.
Right.
They really should stick to their spiritual gifts in that regard, or it will cause confusion. Like I said, I mean, even when you look at if it was his second course, it puts it in the end of January or sometime in February. It's not even close to December. So I just, yeah, I just don't see how there's any way, based on what we see in Scripture, that it could be December, the end of December.
Agreed.
In an attempt to blur the origins of this horrific ritual, the Church of Rome placed the first day of the Mass of Christ on December 25th and the 12th day on January the 6th. Despite no scriptural references for January the 6th, it was selected as the day the wise men supposedly arrived to offer gifts to the newborn Christ. During the winter solstice, trees would be chopped down, brought inside, set up, and decorated as idols for worship. The concept of Santa Claus has had a long and winding history, with a number of diverse cultures contributing to the composite character we have today. Beginning once again in Scandinavia, Santa's original incarnation was in the form of Odin, the pagan god of thunder, a tall fellow with a long flowing beard who inhabited the spirit-infested Nordic forests. In England, Odin eventually evolved into Father Christmas, who, crowned with sprigs of holly, travelled the countryside getting roaring drunk as part of the Festival of Fools celebration. Frequently, he would be accompanied by a horned goat. According to the traditions of the Church of Rome, there was a Turkish bishop named Nicholas who hailed from Myra in Asia Minor during the 4th century. It was rumoured that St. Nicholas had actually captured the devil himself, put him in chains, and made him his personal servant. Recognized in various cultures as Krampus, Beelzebub, this assistant of St. Nicholas is best known by his German name, Knecht Ruprecht. Somehow, Father Christmas's companion, the horned goat, had metamorphosized into the foreboding horned devil called Ruprecht. Ruprecht also carried a large sack which he would frequently use to haul away the really bad boys and girls. As more and more Christian churches began combining the pagan rituals of the winter solstice with the celebration of the birth of Christ, emphasis on St. Nicholas's role began to shift. Eventually, Knecht Ruprecht was made the companion and servant to the Christ child himself. In this scenario, the devil is actually given the title Weihnachtsmann, or Santa Claus. 19th century writer Theodor Storm, in his story about Knecht Ruprecht, even goes so far as to describe the switches given to the children by Ruprecht as tools to be used in sadomasochistic rituals. Soon, the image of Ruprecht would fade from the Christmas tradition, but not his sadistic influence. Many of the early depictions of Santa Claus portrayed him not as a jolly gift giver, but of an unfriendly disciplinarian complete with a ready switch or whip.
Belschnickel is one of the earliest Christmas traditions and one of the earliest Christmas visitors.
Behold, the true form of what people have been worshiping this whole time. Krampus.
All right, you guys, I think we put in some good work. I think we found out some good things. I pray everyone's been edified and has grown in their wisdom and knowledge. And just thank you all for coming and sharing what you got. If you want to say something or add something, go right ahead. Feel free. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Thanks for getting it scheduled, Robert. It was a good meeting and fellowship.
Not a problem.
Yeah, this was really good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And I'm grateful to find people that I'm on the same page with as far as a lot of things.
Great.
Thank you for helping me to understand where we think better instead of just, maybe I didn't read it right. I need to read better.
That's what I had to do.
Me too. Shalom, everyone.
Thank you all for coming. Shalom, shalom. Y'all have a great week.
Nice to see you, Jay, again. Nice to see you, Sister Sherry, and Loren and Gina. Nice to see you guys.
Bye-bye, y'all.